Being an IANA member, we get to contribute to sharing best practices, to sharing information, developing ways of improving our processes and our communication. The collaborative nature of the industry, working with everybody, provides real benefit.
Hey, supply chainers, wherever you are in the world, this is Sarah Barnes-Humphrey with you today. Are you ready? Let's talk supply chain. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Thoughts and Coffee. My name is Sarah Barnes-Humphrey, founder and host of Let's Talk Supply Chain, as well as the Blended podcast and founder of the Blended Pledge. Now, I'm really excited to be here with you today. We've got a lot of things to cover in only 30 minutes. Alan from Envase Technologies is going to be joining me, talking all about a variety of different things around technology in supply chain. And you know, digital automation is the hot topic. Everyone's talking about it. But before we dive in, I do need to let you know about our sponsor. What are your business's supply chain challenges? Too much inventory on hand? Too many disruptions and stockouts? Are there just too many steps and touch points involved? Well, Fastenal can tailor a solution, from automated bins that monitor your inventory 24/7 to vending devices that help you track and control the products that keep your businesses running. Go to fastenal.com/LTSC to see how. Fastenal, where industry meets innovation. And of course, we also need to go through what is going on at Let's Talk Supply Chain. Just yesterday, we celebrated our 5-year anniversary, and not yesterday, sorry, on Sunday, April 16th, we celebrated our 5-year anniversary, and I can't wait to share with you some of the videos that came in for our contest and what the winners actually won. But before we do that, I wanted to share a meme that we put up the other day, because I am waiting for a package today, and I feel like this is what I'm going to be looking like, looking out my window, waiting for that umbrella that I'm going to be putting up in my backyard. I thought that was funny. Anyways, let's talk about what's happening on Let's Talk Supply Chain. So our brand new episode this week is with Morton from Gatehouse Maritime, talking all about ocean visibility and how to keep it simple. It's episode 333 wherever you subscribe to the show. It's also on letstalksupplychain.com and over on our YouTube page. So go and check that out and find out more about who they are, how they can help you, whether you're their ideal client, because of course we go through all of those questions so you get to know who they are. What else have we got going on? Oh, here is the video. So here is the video that we showed yesterday of our contest winners. So Steve Ferreira put together a video celebrating Let's Talk Supply Chain 5-year anniversary. Lisa Fenton also joined in, and she submitted a video, and we also had Cullen submit a video as well. So Steve won the contest with this particular video, and he's won a pair of custom Let's Talk Supply Chain Air Force Ones. That's right. We gave that away for our 5-year anniversary, and we've got more of those giveaways to come. Now, if you have not taken the quiz for the Secret Society of Supply Chain yet, go and take that quiz. And I think we're going to put that in the comments. Nicole, I'm sorry to spring that on you, because we're going to be giving away more of those through the Secret Society of Supply Chain. Lisa and Cullen get to pick some merch from the Let's Talk Supply Chain shop as well. So congratulations to all the winners, and thank you so much to everybody who participated. Now, we also on Friday have Eric Johnson coming up with Log Tech Live. So head over to the link in the comments, click the attend button, whether you can attend live or not, because I will be sending you the recording if you were not able to attend live. So definitely go and check that out. And I think that's about it before we bring Alan up. One other thing that I wanted to just mention, it's an update on the Antonov airplane that is sitting at Toronto Pearson Airport. I just read on the news this morning that it looks like Ukraine might be coming to confiscate it. So stay tuned, because more to come on that story around one of the largest aircrafts in our industry. So without further ado, let's welcome Alan. Hello, Alan. How you doing?
Hey, Sarah, good to see you again. I'm doing well. And I'm wondering how you confiscate one of the largest aircraft in the world. That doesn't make sense to me.
I don't know how that's going to happen, and I think it's going to be quite the story. So I'm going to follow it, and I'm going to give everybody an update as we keep going, because I think it was last week that we talked about, or Audrey and I talked about the fact that this airplane had been sitting in Toronto since last February, I think February 2022, and has amassed $300,000 in parking fees. So we shall see what happens, but the saga continues. Now, Alan, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Hey, I'm Alan Thomas. I'm Chief Commercial Officer for Envase Technologies. We're a technology and software group primarily focused on the drayage TMS space, so the operating systems that trucking companies use. We own a few other brands that are integrated for the whole landside logistics space that touch gate automation, overnight parking, secure parking, that type thing. All focus on landside logistics.
Awesome. And we're going to be talking about that a little bit more in just a minute. I want to say hi to Samuel, Raza, and Chelsea over on my personal LinkedIn page as well as we get started. Now, I want you to give us a bit of a market update of what's happening in your area of supply chain. But before we do that, I do want to talk about the poll and the question that we asked everybody last week. What feature of a supply chain software is the most important to you? Now, this is right up your alley, Alan, because of course, Envase Technologies has a software solution. So 35% of people said easy to use user interface. 33% of you said collaboration and visibility. And 29% of you said AI-powered data insights. So does this surprise you at all? Like, what do you think of some of these answers and, the percentages that we got?
Yeah, I think I would have thought the need for answers or help would have been a little higher, because support is just a critical aspect. There's a lot of options. There's a lot of suppliers out there, and how you support and treat the customer is getting more and more important, especially in a quasi slowdown recession. So I would have thought that had been a little higher, but all of these are exactly how we invest and how we build. So it makes sense to me.
So talk to us about that. Like, how important is that user interface? I mean, at 35%, that is what people are looking for from a software provider that they're partnering with. So talk to us about how you think about that over at Envase.
Yeah, we've got 5 different TMS companies under one umbrella. 3 really large on the drayage space, and then 2 on the LTL long haul space. And we spent, although I love the process, software developers aren't necessarily the best ones to do UI and user experience. So we went outside and brought in experts to help us evolve the new stuff. So we built a brand new mobile app that works for all of our 35,000 drivers over 5 different systems. And we just wanted that to be simple, point and click, and safe for the drivers. So that's kind of one example. We go to the outside experts, and they help us evolve and refine our product as we go to reduce clicks and just make it simpler and easier to use.
Well, and I think you bring up a good point, right? Because the user interface needs to work for everybody, not just one set of users. And so if you are targeting different sets of users in different environments, right? When you talk about truckers and drivers, they're in a different environment than, say, somebody in dispatch who's sitting behind a desk and a computer.
Yep. The other thing we look at is how to eliminate the need for a user face, if at all possible. And so I think one of the other items in there was data visibility and collaboration.
Yeah.
We want to really make sure visibility and real-time actionable data is critical for anybody running any business, but especially on the logistics side. We wanted to take all of those functions, those visibility functions that we get from ports, from shipping lines, and integrate that into the operating system that they're using, so they don't have to go to another website.
Right.
It eliminates a step in their process for every shipment that they've got. So wherever we can eliminate a function or the need for a user interface, we try to do that. So that's visibility, that's making appointments at container terminals, that's paying fees. If we can automate those things, it streamlines that whole back office process that these truckers are doing every day.
Absolutely. Now, Tony, I do see your question. We're going to get to that in just a minute. Alan, give us a bit of a market update. What's happening in drayage? What's happening in trucking? What are you seeing? What are your customers talking to you about, asking you about?
Yeah, well, domestically, U.S. but North America in general, import volumes are really down. That's nothing new. So you're seeing last year you saw multi-billion dollar profits from the ocean carriers. This year they might not even make a profit. And those volumes and the erratic nature of that still continues. So there's far less cargo moving about. You're seeing some closures of small to medium sized drayage companies that just can't make it anymore, unfortunately. So there is some consolidation in that regard, but we think that's probably going to come back out. Hopefully there'll be a peak season and things will start increasing, but it's tough times, no question.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Now, before we get into our articles, I am going to ask Tony's question. Curious to know what the industry is doing to protect their intellectual properties. Is cybersecurity practiced or being pursued? Now, I know in past episodes of Thoughts and Coffee that cybersecurity is one of the biggest risks to supply chain in 2023. And you as a software provider, obviously with all of that data, how are you thinking about cybersecurity? Is it something that people are asking you more about?
Oh yeah, critical. It is the reason why we win a lot of our big deals. We have spent a lot of time and money and years of planning and prep to achieve SOC 2 compliance. That's kind of the gold standard in terms of cybersecurity, and also an international version of that, ISO 27001. All of our brands and companies with individual websites, individual hosting, all of them have been given that accreditation. So it's critical for us, given how critical these systems are to operations.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I've seen so many articles on the fact that this is one of the biggest threats to supply chains right now. Now, if you have any questions, if you're in the audience, now's the time to ask any questions of Alan, especially in what they're doing or in drayage or with trucking and what's going on right now. We have until 10:30, so make sure you get your questions into the comments and we will ask them. Now let's get to our first article. So this article I wanted to bring to everybody's attention because this is from Walmart directly, and they're talking about their growth strategy. And one of the things that they're focusing on, the three things that they're focusing on. One is people. 2 is leveraging state-of-the-art supply chain networks. And 3 is their omni-channel experience. Now, the fact that they're bringing supply chain networks into this and really diving deep into what that actually means for a Walmart is really interesting, right? They're talking about the next gen of supply chain network, which is their stores, their clubs, their fulfillment centers, the way that they're thinking about their customer experience and how supply chain integrates to that, which I thought was really interesting. And that has a focus on data, intelligent software, and automation. Now, Alan, when you read this article, what did you think? I mean, as a software company, obviously you're probably like, yes, we need to talk more about this. But talk to me about what you thought of their approach and how they're thinking about the integration of supply chain and supply chain software.
Yeah, the meme that you put up when you first started with the guy looking, I forget his name on The Office, he's looking out of the window wondering where his package is. Yeah. That's what the landside logistics space really needs. It's kind of a black hole when things get off of a ship and they get into the landside. So this investment strategy is more in line with that. It's similar to what we've seen the ports do over the last 10 to 15 years. It's not just about automation. It's about smart automation where you can mechanizing the things that humans really shouldn't be doing, and then hiring a higher class of brain power really to manage the exceptions. So that's what we see coming into the land side. And it's not just at your big fulfillment centers where as much as can be automated will be. It's at your medium-sized depots densifying those depots, putting gate systems and appointment scheduling systems on the front end so that you can structure who comes and when. It all ties into visibility. Every link in the chain that isn't connected into this universe is again, it's in the black hole. So it contributes to, not a lack of on-time deliveries for sure.
Well, and they're also talking about how this is going to help their inventory strategy. Because obviously with a Walmart, I mean, there's a lot of different locations. There's a lot of different places to manage. There's a lot of different places that you can hold inventory. And I think the way that they're looking at this is, how do we really optimize that process? And where do we leave inventory? Where do we put inventory that's really going to make sure that our customers have a really, really great experience, and we're not just moving around product to move around product?
Yeah, I think they're probably taking the cues from Amazon, who started this, 10, 15 years ago with Prime. They're forwarding the items that are bought consistently in a specific region during a specific time of year to get closer to where the shoppers are. So if paper towels or consumables or something, you can get in a matter of hours now. It's just an evolution to reduce inventory carry, but pre-planning things to get them closer to where the actual consumers are. I think that's what I take that to mean.
Yeah. Well, and the other part of this is automation. And one of the things that I want to go back to is that they're focusing on their people. What they said was that there's going to be less physical labor, but there's also going to be a higher rate of pay for their employees, because they forecast that they're going to be increasing their people and their roles. Now, usually when we think about technology, we think about automation, a lot of people do get their jobs. But this was actually very promising and saying, listen, you're going to get higher rates of pay and we're going to increase the jobs that are available. What do you think about that?
It makes total sense. When you add more systems into what is sometimes a highly manual process at some of these distribution centers. Let's say automating, dock door arrivals, or automating the entry and exits, removing some of the manual processes. You put systems on top of that, so these systems have to be monitored, they have to be maintained. If there's a glitch, you bring in network communications, you bring in more security. There's a lot more that has to be done in that regard. There may be fewer people on site, but there's more systems and the need to monitor and maintain those things to make sure that, if something, glitches or fails, that there's a carryover, or there's a mitigation plan in place. It just needs different bodies. And those are, again, it's exception management. It's people who can look at a bunch of different things in an operation, some of which are tech centric, and be able to spot the issues.
Yeah. And you bring up a really good point, because a lot of people come to me and they're like, what should I be looking at to upskill? And I think you made a really good point there. That's where you should be focusing on. That's what you should be upskilling, looking at exceptions management, and being in a position, once that happens, to be able to transition over, or maybe transition over early. Awesome. Thank you so much for that. So now we're off to our second article. Now, this comes directly from Envase, 6 signs you need a TMS. Now, I thought that this was really fitting, because a lot of people are looking at digital transformation. They're talking about it. They're looking at systems. Some invested during the pandemic. And we're going to talk a little bit later on about how investing in technology is a journey and not a destination. But I also am very vocal about the fact that we need to be asking the right questions when we're looking at bringing on a software provider. And I think this particular article really helps us with that. So some of the signs that you talk about in this article is you're struggling with excellent customer service. You're struggling against the clock. Your processes are disjointed, you've grown, or you plan to grow. Now, talk to us through those 6 signs, what they actually mean, what maybe some of the questions they are asking themselves, and how a TMS can help, but also finding the right TMS. Like, how do we do that?
Yeah, it's not easy. There's a lot of different, levels of motor carriers. the level of complexity usually is tied to the customers that you're serving. So very large motor carriers interfacing with very large 3PLs and customers. They have different needs, a lot more API and EDI data connectivity. Visibility is a mandate for them. But as you get smaller in these carriers, especially as you grow, typically you'll start with 1 to 2 trucks. And we spent a lot of time with our new Envase TMS system, which is all online, all SaaS, free for 1 truck forever, really to provide an operating system to allow them to play digitally in this big pool. But as you grow, the things that you could do at night when you came home, or that, a friend or a family member were helping you on the backside, as you grow and you get more customers, those things begin to get really arduous. So we're trying to build tools into every level of system to just, it's really process automation, how to automatically receive a delivery order so you're not manually typing it in from email, how to automatically send the invoices, QuickBooks integration so that you just get paid automatically. Those things that if it's 1 truck and 1 to 2 customers, it's not that hard to handle. But as you start to grow, you really need an operating system, just like accountants now and CPAs, they use, a spreadsheet tool, Excel, something like that. 20, 30, 50 years ago, they didn't have that. So it's just an evolution for how the industry needs to grow and not require you to spend so much time doing manual tasks that can be automated.
Well, and one of the terms that you used in that article, which I really liked, was organized chaos. I think it was organized chaos of paper. I mean, I remember I was in operations for a freight forwarding company, and I just remember the mountains of paperwork that we used to get. I mean, if people are still doing that, then, it's time to look at digital transformation. Absolutely. But I did like the organized chaos, right? The Excel, the paper, the software. But if somebody already has a TMS, what are some of the signs that they might need to move on from the one that they're using?
It's all about time, where you spend your time. If there are certain functions that just that are, and you have to go out and kick the tires of other solutions. For sure. Manually entering delivery orders, manually collecting, having your drivers collect paper and drive paper around versus just using the mobile app to image them, OCR them, upload them, those types of things that are a waste of time, or you're just spending time on, especially the feedback you get from the drivers and how they, what they have to do day to day. We're all about the driver journey, allowing them to get more out of their day, because we believe that just is foundational to improving metrics and efficiency in the industry. So, we spend a lot of time focused on improving that driver journey and giving them the tools inside of a mobile app that just, streamline everything from signature orders on the delivery to confirmations, that kind of thing.
Well, and I've sat down with Larry before, and he's talked about getting into the driver's seat and actually doing all of the processes to make sure that what you are doing from a software perspective is really hitting everything that they need, right? A lot of times we build this software and we don't necessarily maybe get our hands dirty and realize what the user actually needs from it or what it's missing.
Yeah, it's critical.
I love that.
At the end of the day, if we're making things and they don't, I don't know who came up with this quip, but if you ship a feature in your software and nobody uses it, did the feature really ship? We can spend a lot of time thinking we have great ideas, but we spend way more time broaching that with our kind of product advisory committee and testing it with 3 to 5 inside users that we've got great relationships with, and evolving from there. It never ever stops. That evolution for us never ever stops. We can always improve.
And you've got to be with a software partner who is continually evolving. Chelsea asks, what are some ways companies who are on Google Sheets can skill up and transition to be able to use more sophisticated systems like a TMS without disrupting operations? Now, this is a big one, right? A lot of people that I speak to, they're like, yeah, I want to get new software, but I'm really scared of onboarding and how long this is going to take.
Yep, that's a key part of it. How simple is this to get up and running? We are always looking at those metrics on how to streamline that so it's simpler to use. the spreadsheet's it's not gonna send your bills for you. It's not gonna get you paid faster. It's a place, it's only as good as the input going into it, and so as you grow, it's great for smaller companies, although I think it's hard to argue against free, for a one truck solution, but there's steps in that. I think you just spending some time looking at where you spend that time during the day, and how you can streamline that or automate that is the biggest, it's probably the place to start versus if you're just still running off of spreadsheets.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Now, our last article is from Forbes, and it's about why you should consider investing more in tech during a recession. Now, this is a big topic right now because a lot of people are pulling back in a variety of different ways. They're pulling back maybe on technology, they're pulling back potentially on marketing, but they're pulling back like everybody else. And you don't want to be like your competition. You want to be ahead of your competition. And I think this is what the article is really talking about, is that you want to be doing, especially in a crisis scenario, you want to be doing what everybody is not doing so that you stand out, and so that when you come out of that crisis scenario, that you are much better for it, and you're much better and further along than your competition, other people in your space. So talk to us about this, because it also talks about how during the pandemic, some people rushed into buying tools without necessarily a plan in place. And we're seeing some of that now. But it also talks about continuous improvement in technology, not just as a software provider, but as somebody who's buying the technology solutions. This is not a destination. This is a journey, right? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, digitalization, we see it in all facets of our life. It's survival at this point. It's not a question of if, it's just when and how. So it's those type of investments. Our more progressive customers are always looking for opportunities or little pauses or breaks where they can make changes. I think that it's an opportunity to catch your breath and reassess the business with your best and brightest, and understand, okay, now that we've got a little time and we've, the chaos isn't as bad, especially through the pandemic side. Now's the inflection point really to make some investments. So we see that very consistently through our more progressive customers. It's and as you mentioned, it's not we'll do it now and then we'll stop the investment, because once you start, it can't stop from that perspective. It needs to continually improve, and you need to be measuring those things based off customer feedback. This is it's all about the power of the payer. And we are looking especially closely at any touch points that we have, not just with the customer, but with the driver, making each step of this chain really give them the Disney experience, if you will, and try and improve that customer service. Because that's one thing, whether it's, somebody doesn't want to make a phone call to get support. They want to use a chat bot, or they want email, or they want to enter a ticket. Much like Walmart's looking at omni-channel fulfillment, we're looking at omni-channel support and how to make it a Disney experience in however we interface with that customer. So that's one example of things that you can do when the volumes are a little less and you have the time and the focus, and probably some of the time from some of your best and brightest to help you get there.
Well, and it also talks about developing and investing in new features gives you a strong market position. Again, we're not just talking about software developers, right? Software platforms. We're talking about the buyers of that software and that technology, continually thinking about what those new features could be. And that's why partnering with the right software solution and the right company comes into play, because you need somebody to be able to help support you do that on your continuous journey. Now, one of the things that they ended this article with that I liked was technology can help you survive the crisis and put you in a better position once it's over. So definitely something to think about as you're going through your digital journey. Now, before we go, I just want to let everybody know where we're going to be from an event perspective. So I'm going to be at Home Delivery World June 14th and 15th. We're going to be on site recording episodes of Let's Talk Supply Chain and some unique content for the Secret Society of Supply Chain as well. So come and check that out. That's in Philadelphia. And of course, we've got Log Tech Live at 10 a.m. Eastern this Friday. So click the attend button, even if you can't attend live, because we will send you the recording. Alan, thank you so much for coming on Thoughts and Coffee and sharing all your insights with us today. We really appreciate it.
Sarah, it's always good to see you. Love what you're doing. Keep it up.